Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 305 Insights. Today, we're going to be posting part one of the three discussions that we had with Miguel and Eric, kind of settling into that type of content churn out over the past few sessions. So, going to try and keep that going. So, once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You already know the drill. So enjoy this one, and we'll be posting the other ones very shortly as well. So thanks for listening. Enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 305 Insights. Here with the three amigos, Eric, Miguel, and your host, Alan. We're going to talk about the concept of, how can I put this?
Life?
Value.
Oh.
And it's going to be a stretch because it's unfortunately two teams in the same division, but once we get over that tiny hurdle, I think you guys will be on the same page as me. So we'd like to talk about Justin Fields here. It's a odd thing for some reason, but just right off the bat, a simple yes or no. And I'll start with you, Eric. Did the Bears get enough value out of this Justin Fields trade?
Value? No.
Miguel?
Definitely not.
Okay. So, just to refresh everybody's memory, because this happened a little bit ago, Bears get a conditional 6th-round pick that become a 4th based on playing time. Steelers have already announced that Russell Wilson's going to be the starter. So, unless he just, literally bleeps the bed, in all likelihood, he's going to be starting for the vast majority of the season, if not the whole season. As long as they have, as long as they're winning.
So you're saying that the Steelers were the winner of the trade?
Yeah, because I don't think that's going to become a 4th-round pick. So
they got the value.
That's a 6th-round pick.
They got the value.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I'm going to go after here is, again, concept of value. To me, it would have been better for the Chicago Bears to trade the number 1 overall pick to a team that needs a quarterback and prey on their desperation and keep Justin Fields. Because let's look at before we get into this trade, let's look at all the moves that the Bears have made this offseason.
Okay.
Mind you, they won 7 games last year, I believe, right? 7-10. They were, a terrible, terrible team. They weren't great, but
they weren't terrible.
Yeah. You signed DeAndre Swift for 3 years, $24.5 million, $15.3 million guaranteed.
Good or bad? Start with that.
3 years, $15 million for DeAndre Swift. I think that's good.
I think that's good.
Because, again, we're not looking at the $25 million. We're looking at $13.5 million. Is DeAndre Swift a game changer? No, but that is a really solid running back.
Solid running back.
Yeah.
For
consistent
for basically $5 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it in Detroit. He did it in Philadelphia. So he's done it on good teams. I think they were bad when he was on there. And then they became a good team. And then he did it on a really good team that just fell off at the end. But still, his stats were good.
Mm-hmm.
And Chicago is primarily a, running-based team throughout the dawn of existence. You trade a 4th-rounder for Keenan Allen, which is a 1-year rental. So,
yes.
4th-rounder for Keenan Allen, who's arguably top 10, question mark, still.
15.
I believe that move is a win it now move.
Yes.
Or to set a foundation of you have that veteran that's on the back end of his career. I think that was a great move as well.
And again, this is almost one of those prove it deals.
I'm not going to say great, but I'm going to say good.
For a 1-year rental, and this is basically Keenan Allen. Hey, I had over 1,200 receiving yards last year. And if I produce this year with whoever the quarterback is, he's going to get another. That's going to be his last contract.
Would you say this is kind of almost a similarity to D-Hop when he left the Texans to Arizona?
Not necessarily.
No, because I think D-Hop was younger.
Oh, okay.
In the sense that he still had maybe 2 years left in his prime.
Gotcha.
I mean, D-Hop.
He fell off rather fast, though.
D-Hop was on another level, though. That guy was producing with nobody. Like
Yeah.
anyways,
I just didn't want to get
I don't want to
sidetracked,
fantasize it.
but I think it was a good move. Not a great move, but I think it was a good move.
I think the reason why it's a good move is because Keenan Allen is also cut for health purposes. Yes, he had a career year last year, but that's a career year at 31, 32 years old.
Yeah.
So,
what's the odds?
brought to you by they signed tight end Gerald Everett. Plus, they have Cole.
I like that move a lot.
They have Cole Kmet. I don't know.
Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got 2 tight ends, receiving tight ends.
Thoughts on that move?
I thought Gerald Everett was more of a hybrid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have the option of either leave him blocking, and then you still have that other tight end, but it gives you that versatility as opposed to having additional. Yeah, and it's just again, it's another. You see these first 3 moves, and then we'll get into these other ones now. These are win now moves, like you said, Eric.
Yes.
This isn't like we're rebuilding. Keenan Allen, he's not here for. This isn't a rebuild. This is a reload. Anyways, that's a. What's his name's reference? I've Willie Taggart. Jeez. All right. They traded a 5th round pick for offensive lineman Ryan Bates, who apparently this GM's wanted for a while. He tried to sign him last year. I forgot where he was last year, but you're redoing the all line. You signed center Coleman Shelton. You signed O lineman Matt Pryor. You signed O lineman Jake Curran. I believe the center Coleman was on the Los Angeles Rams. And he started like 15 or 16 games.
Yes.
So you sign or trade for 3 different offensive linemen, a running back, a solid tight end, and a number 1 wide receiver. And now you turn around, you trade Justin Fields, and you're going to draft Caleb Williams at number 1.
Played for Buffalo and Philly, Ryan Bates.
Yeah, so he was the one that the GM wanted last year, and he re-signed.
He played for Buffalo.
Yeah. So, again, a bunch of offensive linemen, weapons, and now you're trading Justin Fields and you're going to draft Caleb Williams. Is that the correct move? That's what they think. My argument now, boys, is I think they should have traded the number 1 pick to a team that desperately needs a quarterback. And that team is the Minnesota Kirky Vikings. Because Kirk left. He's in Atlanta. You've got enough talent with Justin Jefferson and Jake Addison or whatever his name is.
Yeah, and TJ
Hawkinson.
Yes. So there's targets there.
Yeah. And then the coach there, Kevin
O'Connell.
Yeah. He's obviously offensively driven.
Well, he had success recur on his first year and second year, technically. Yeah. So there's something there.
Yeah. And so, again, I know this is an interdivision move, but
yeah, they're probably giving up Justin to get that, though.
Huh?
They're probably going to give up Justin Jefferson to get that.
No. So this is my argument. Minnesota traded a few picks to move up in the first round as well. So they have the 11th and 23rd pick in the first round this year. Now we've seen in the past where certain teams move up a few spots from like 4 to 2, and they trade a first round pick. You know, the Washington Redskins traded away the future of the franchise to draft Robert Griffin III. They traded away like the first round pick, 2 first round picks, a second round pick, and stuff like that, right? So hypothetically, in my wildest dreams, Minnesota is trading the 11th, the 23rd, a first round pick next year, and a second round pick next year to move up from 11th to number 1 to get Caleb Williams. And if you're the Bears, you remain with the 9th pick, and now you have the 11th and the 23rd pick.
Okay.
And then you have a few more picks, but just off the bat, again, I know it's the fact that they're interdivision, so you might not be able to get that first round pick next year and different things like that. But again, Minnesota is almost in a win now mode, where you have TJ, you have Justin Jefferson, you have the weapons there. And we talk about these egos with these coaches. You know, Kevin thought he could win with Kirk Cousins, and they were somewhat successful.
They were successful.
in his mind,
They were successful.
Regular season wise.
in
Yeah.
his mind, if he has an athlete, whether I think all of us in here don't think that Caleb Williams is a quote unquote generational quarterback. However, Kevin probably believes he can mold him into that. Do you guys think that this would be a good trade for them to get a franchise QB for the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or whatever? Or do you stick it out with Sam Darnold and see what you can do next year's draft, or see if you can get a trade for a free agent?
You want me to answer? I think it just depends on what direction they're going in whether they think they could go that route with Caleb Williams, or if they're gonna risk it for the biscuit at 9 to get whatever quarterback is left on the board.
They're gonna have to trade up one way or another.
I think because it kind of, what I would go back to is what you just said about Kevin O'Connell. Like,
Sam Darnold didn't play like what's his name at Tampa? Baker Mayfield. Like Sam Darnold didn't prove himself like Baker Mayfield did last year. Well, Baker Mayfield had a great season and he got paid for it. So it's like you're leaving it up for Sam Darnold, who's like,
well, I mean, also,
he literally is a backup QB for a reason.
He gave that one glimpse when he was in San Francisco, and that's about it. He didn't really do anything with the Jets. He didn't really do anything with Carolina. But that's a product of your environment. I think we all agree.
I think both of them was a product of the environment. Finally, he went to, like, let's say San Fran, and actually had a system. Offense, like a system that actually has been proven to work. You're making Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, mind you, he's still making plays. I don't want to get into that, but there's a quarterback that has made plays. I would kind of want to poke at what you just said about Kevin O'Connell, looking at it as
an ego trip,
saying, like, you can look at it at that, what you brought up of, you give me Caleb Williams, I'll make him the generational cornerback that he's been hyped up to be. Or I can build up anybody at Sam Darnold, which has been through hell and back, has that experience already with the weapons around him.
True, but
right? I think it's just a matter of if they're willing to depart with the picks that they have currently and what they're giving up in terms of not only this year in the first round, but also next year in the first and the second round. Like, they just have to see overall
so many things,
which direction they're leaning.
Because to me, again, we're going to come back to this key word here, like value. They're going to try and trade up this year. That's why they got that second first rounder. Now, my thing is, if you're comparing, let's say they're going to trade up. I don't think they're going to get either. Obviously, if they don't do this, Chicago doesn't do this trade. What they're not. They're not getting Caleb Williams. They're not getting Drake May, and they're not getting Jane Daniels. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think those guys. I don't think Washington. And again, Drake May and Jane Daniels are interchangeable, but those guys are going to go in the first 3-4 picks.
What about the guy from Washington?
New England needs a QB, and Washington needs a QB. So
it just depends if Jaden goes over Drake. But those guys are going to be the first.
So what
picks.
about the guy from Washington?
Michael Penix Jr.? The only problem with him,
I see him leaving in the first round, like late first.
The only problem with him is his medicals. When you have three season-ending injuries, and you're also already 23, 24 years old or whatever, because you've been in college for 6 years, because of the injuries, because of the COVID extension, all that stuff. That's what holds him back.
So that's the biggest question.
If Penix was 22 years old or whatever, I think he would be a top 5 pick. Because he makes all the throws.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the touch. He's got the vision. And you saw what he did against Oregon. That's got a lot of NFL talent. You saw what he did for a little bit until he got injured against Michigan, and that was a really good defense. You saw what he did against Caleb Williams himself. Like, this kid was slinging it everywhere. But he might sneak into the first round maybe, but in all likelihood, he's probably a second round pick. So the other option is you got J.J. McCarthy, who everybody is really, really high on for reasons unbeknownst to me. Like, And that's where I'm saying this is where the value comes in.
That's where their options are, right?
Do you trade the 11th and the 23rd pick to get JJ McCarthy?
No.
Or
no.
But that's what they're gonna. That's what I'm saying. That's what they're gonna have to do if they want the young quarterback.
I don't think they go quarterback.
So what you're saying is they're going to go into the season with Sam Darnold.
I think they're going to go in the season with Sam Darnold, and what they're going to do is their needs are defense, and I think they're going to go on defense because offense is basically what's set up. Now they're going to
minus the most important position.
Yes, minus no.
But that is something we have to like.
Yeah. Now you have also you also look at what's the best pick at that moment. Like what's on the table, because you can need a quarterback, but if you have, let's say, a day one starter at corner
at 11th, in all likelihood. Well, okay, I'll get to that in a second.
No, but
they could get Jared first.
The argument that I'm trying to make, at least with what the Vikings have, is the only opportunity that they can get Caleb Williams is sacrificing building more for the future. When you clearly have holes on defense or other holes on other bigger needs, are you willing to go all in to get this quarterback at a young, unproven quarterback to play for you, and you sacrifice everything else and weigh the pressure on that guy? Or you go with Sam Darnold that we know what we're going to get with him if we get any.
But that's the problem, and this is what we talk about. Like what we talk about with Tua.
Like, oh God, see, you brought him up. You brought him up.
But listen,
you brought him up.
We always talk about what's more enticing, Tua or Justin Fields, and a lot of people in our city would say, "Ooh, Justin Fields is really enticing," because it's the what if. We already know what Tua is capable of. We already know what Sam Darnold's capable of. He would be starting somewhere if he had any sort of positive tendencies. And again, he chose to go to Carolina. He chose to go to these situations where I can win this job, I can do something. And he didn't really do that good. Now, it's the what if of, again, getting a Caleb Williams, because what did Kansas City trade up to get to that? Was it the 10th pick or 8th pick or whatever to get Patrick Mahomes? They traded a first round pick. They didn't need a quarterback. They had at the time, who's the guy who broke his leg?
Trent Green?
No, not Trent. No, he got concussed. Alex Smith. They had Alex Smith at the time.
Yeah.
And he was winning 12, 13 games. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They had other holes.
Yeah.
And
they got Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
And boom, look what now.
But at the time, Patrick Mahomes wasn't considered a generational quarterback.
No, he wasn't.
Because the whole argument about Texas Tech quarterbacks was they're just air raid and they're going to throw the ball around. He went to Andy Reid. That's the real asterisk for him.
Now, let me ask you, because let's say, Vikings go with Sam Darnold, right? There's only two possibilities: success or no success, and how you want to measure it. If they fall flat on their face with Sam Darnold, right, and they don't win that many games, okay, hey, guess what? We've already covered enough holes. We're going to get a low draft pick, and we'll see like what we can get out of that and look at the market or whatever. If Sam Darnold is somewhat successful, you keep building off of, there's so many avenues of where you can go after the season's done if you move forward with Sam Darnold. There's more options.
But if Sam Darnold is successful,
if you go the Caleb Williams route,
yes,
I feel that there's more. There's less options that you have of the outcome of Caleb Williams' success.
The only problem I have with your hypothetical versus mine, but the only problem I have with your example there is Sam Darnold's a 1 year, $10 million contract. If he's successful, you're gonna have to pay him. And you're already paying Justin Jefferson, all that stuff.
It depends on the level of success. I'll tell you that much.
But I get what you're saying, but again, even if
this is all hypothetical.
Even if he goes like for 3,800 yards and 26 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, he's going to want $20 million. I don't think he's going to want anything outrageous like, oh, pay me, 3 years, $150 million. He's not going to want something like that.
I don't think. Yeah.
But you are going to have to give him a considerable sum of money to keep him coming back.
and they're going to be able to do that with the picks that they have right now. That's the thing. They're covering their behind if Sam Darnold ends up being successful.
But then, to me, you're running into a Kirk Cousins 2.0 thing without the ceiling,
or like Tua with the Dolphins.
That's different. That's different
because he's Hawaiian.
Because you hate him.
Bro, at the end of the day, it's all about analytics, man.
Analytics.
So
you go for it on fourth down, or you
no, it's analytics in the sense of like what the owner or the GM wants to do, and then they have to go by like with O'Connell, and like it has to be a jointed decision. Like if they're not on the same page, then it literally could go either way. It literally can go either way.
But now, which way do you go? The one that has more options, or the one that there's?
Honestly,
you can't go. Honestly, for me, like whatever the Vikings end up doing, you can't go wrong with. Obviously, they need.
Because remember the Dolphins when you had Dante Culpepper or Drew Brees?
No,
yeah, that worked out for us.
No,
okay, but you're
whatever option they go with, like they're gonna be a good team. Whatever, I think they're gonna be a good team, whichever option they go.
You seem really high on Sam Darnold though. With the way you're positioning your argument, you're saying that it's either option A or option B. Which again, you have that same option A or option B with Caleb Williams, but there's more upside with Caleb Williams because he has a consistent contract. It's static for the next 4 years. That's my thing. If you have glimpses of I don't want to say greatness, but you have glimpses of like, oh, he's going to be really
There's something here. There's something here.
Yeah. That gives you a hope as a fan base of like, okay, we're good this year. We're fine going 6-11 or stuff like that because we know we have our foundation moving forward. With Sam Darnold, if he sucks, which is in all likelihood what's going to happen, and he's going to be mediocre, you've wasted a year of Justin Jefferson and a year of TJ Hawkinson and a year of Jake Addison. If you do that with Caleb Williams, or again, if Sam Darnold's good, you're going to have to pay him, and those resources dedicated to him are going to come at a cost somewhere else. What I'm saying is if Caleb Williams is there, he's only going to be making $5 million or whatever, $6 million, give or take, for the next few years.
You don't think he's going to ask for more money like Kyle Murray? Kyler. Sorry.
Your boy? No, but he's got a 4-year, it's a guaranteed 4-year contract, and then on the 5th year option, you either extend him or whatnot. So, but anyways, we're kind of going too far in the Minnesota part.
Yeah.
So my hypothetical is how much more value they would have gotten for this trade, keeping Justin Jefferson because of the moves they've already made. Now, if you get, again, the 9th, 11th, and 23rd pick, and you ask for the first next year, you basically have your first rounder next year, their first rounder, and 3 first rounds this year. That's 5 first round picks in 2 years. And then you could talk about whatever. If you add in the 2 second round picks that they already have next year, and their second round pick for them, you basically have 8 picks in the top 2 rounds in 2 years. That's a lot of depth that Chicago could have gotten. And if we're talking about just a mock draft for this year, at 9th, which is their original pick, they have 1 and 9 right now. At 9th, you would get the kid from Washington, the wide receiver, Rome Odunze.
Yes.
Because Keenan Allen is a 1-year rental.
Yes.
And no matter how much he produces, you're probably not going to re-sign him because you already have DJ Moore. You get the young kid who is, I mean, it's either him or Malik Neighbors for number 2. So it depends on what type we want. At 11th, historically, Chicago loves being a great defensive team. You get either Turner from Alabama or Jared Verse, whoever's there at number 11 for the defensive end position. It seems like Turner's the one that's the higher rated one, so he's probably going to go 9th to Atlanta, hometown thing, stuff like that. At 23rd, you've already gotten the offensive lineman, but you can go one a few different ways. You can get, I think Terrence Arnold, who's one of the highest ranked cornerbacks, isn't going to be available by 23rd. So you can get someone who's kind of fallen off a bit, but still has that name value in Kool-Aid McKinstry, the kid from Alabama as well. You can get him at cornerback. If you want to go defensive tackle, you can get Byron Murphy from Texas. Or if you want to shore up the offensive line with someone young, you get Amarius Mims, the kid from Georgia. Again, my whole point is, You trade Justin Fields for a conditional 4th round, but it's a 6th-round pick. Or you try to trade away the number 1 pick and you get these 3 value contracts. And then plus whatever hypothetically they get next year, but we're just going to focus on these 3 picks this year versus getting Caleb Williams and what they have now. That's where I'm arguing for the value perspective.
First, I'll ask you both of you guys 2 questions. First things first, do you think it plays a factor that it went to an AFC team instead of an NFC team? And maybe they weren't going to give what you're asking basically to any NFC team? Because the only NFC team is the Vikings. And the last thing you would want to do is give Vikings Caleb Williams, because then you're going to have to live with that decision for the next 4 years. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that plays a factor of why they went to the AFC and why they got nothing for it? Well, I wouldn't say nothing. Well, I mean, technically.
Supposedly what they said is they just wanted to, quote, do right by Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Which is allegedly why they didn't get a lot of value out of him. I don't think they would have gotten much value regardless because of how they played the market. They waited too long.
So the options that you're saying, that probably wouldn't have been there. Because where I'm trying to get at is I don't think the value that you're talking about with Justin Fields, I don't think the Vikings sacrificed that. Because you have to be in agreement, obviously, to do the trade. I don't think the Vikings are going to give that much
for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. That's where I have like the
pause.
Yeah. Now, the second question that I wanted to ask you guys, and this doesn't have to do with Justin Fields, just overall general. Would you rather go with a Caleb Williams or someone that has experience in the NFL?
Are you asking me from a GM perspective?
Because the GM perspective is about money.
Okay, let me answer it in a very general manner. In a very general manner. Freudian slip. Overall, I think people would prefer to go to Caleb Williams because of what we talked about earlier in this podcast. The what if. Ooh. The hope.
Yeah.
All that stuff. The what can be. When you have someone experienced, you kind of have an understanding of what they are. And there's no mystery behind it. It's like watching a movie for a second time.
You want a guarantee. You know a guarantee what you're going to get.
It's like watching an M. Night Shyamalan film for the first time. Oh, my God. Spoiler alert. Bruce Willis is dead.
And he's in the movie.
Yeah. He is always in the movie. Yeah. And then when you watch it the second time, you're like, oh, that's why it happened. This, and this.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's the same thing with these quarterbacks. Do I want Tua? Or do I want Michael Penix? Ooh, there's a lot of people down here in Miami who would want Michael Penix. Why? Because it's the what if. Imagine this guy, a lefty who's accurate, who can throw the deep ball, that can do all this stuff. It's basically Tua 2.0 with more injuries. We're worried about Tua with the one major hip injury.
I think no. And concussion and ankle.
Okay.
Both ankles.
Okay, and Michael Penix has ruined his shoulder. He had a shoulder injury, and he tore both his ACLs.
Let's not get sidetracked here.
Miguel, I'm sorry, Miguel. Before I'm going to overrule.
Would you rather have?
Well, I answered that part.
Yeah.
Okay, Miguel. I'm sorry. I'm going to start ringing things. So not much time left.
Would you rather have a Sam Darnold with all the weapons, or Caleb Williams with all the weapons?
It's hard to say because it's like saying, would you rather have Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? And you could have gone either way with them, but only if both teams were equally put together. But obviously, Houston just had the better players than Carolina did.
How about this?
So I'm
going to put you in this scenario.
It's like Caleb Williams and Sam Darnold. So it's like
you are the GM, right? You have a team. And you have loaded weapons, and all you got to do is pick a quarterback. And the only 2 options you have right now is Caleb Williams. No, 3 options. Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, or Sam Darnold. Who are you going to take?
I mean, obviously it's not going to happen now.
You're a GM.
I would take Justin Fields.
Okay, you'll take Justin Fields. What do you take?
I'll take Justin Fields.
I would take
because he's.
In all honesty, I would take Justin Fields, but again, from the macro perspective, a lot of people would take Caleb Williams because of everything that I said about the what if and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would take Sam Darnold.
But if it was between Caleb Williams and Sam Darnold, I would choose Sam Darnold.
Hot take right now. Sam Darnold will win comeback player of the year. Hot take.
All right, we're going to end on that because I really can't continue after that.
The NFL season, I can't wait for it.
The NFL season, it never stops.